Hey everybody, welcome to Stacking Pennies Quarterly Joy alongside Ryan Flores. Big show breaking down Bristol. We have the winner himself, Kyle Larson, join the show, and the kid who made his Cup Series debut, Jesse Love, joining us in the Noncents Garage. All that and more coming up on Stacking Pennies.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies. All right, everybody, I am excited about this one. Welcome to Stacking Pennies Quarterly Joy alongside Ryan Flores here. And guest in studio, I run into him after the race. Both of us, our souls had seemed like they just left our bodies after a 250-lap straight run to finish Bristol. On my man's debut in the Cup Series, Mr. Jesse Love Jr. joins us on the show.
250 laps was a blue-collar day, man.
Bro.
That was rough.
Tell the fans a little bit about it, and then we'll get into just Jesse Love in general. But how was your day?
Man, it was I'll talk about the 250 lap part. The Xfinity race is 300 laps, right? It's broken up, and the Cup race, we basically ran a whole Xfinity race, just green flag
Qualifying laps.
Dude, it's unreal. And I mean, I feel like I can run 30th in Xfinity like with a pair of Hokas on foot. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm racing like my heart out for 30th, 28th, 32nd in a Cup car, and it was an eye-opening experience. It was what I expected, right? Obviously, I kind of outpunted my coverage in qualifying, I thought, and I think drivers talk about like you kind of change your goals and expectations, and my head probably couldn't fit out the door leaving qualifying, but
for sure.
But I kind of knew in going to the race that my goals might change a little bit. And I thought it was going to be a tire race and like really had to just stick with the bottom. And then, Reddick was really fast in the beginning and got to my inside. And then, you know how good the Cup guys are. Like in Xfinity and kind of anything else other than a Cup race, you can kind of find a hole to get down into. It wasn't really an option in the Cup car. So I tried to just like almost fall back until I could get in line and ride. And I think if I had just gone harder and stayed on the lead lap, I feel like our race would have been a lot different. But maybe that was on me of trying to be a little more fluid next time on when races change and the dynamics change, right? So I learned a lot, right? I guess my biggest worry going into it was that I would leave there and be like, man, I don't know if like the mountain to climb to get to where I feel like a good Cup driver is going to be insurmountable. And I felt like I left there thinking, I feel really comfortable in the car. I feel like I can put it on the limit, put it on the edge of the tire, and race really hard. So I'm really glad that I left there checking that box, and now I feel like it's just about the execution part. You're looking at SMT this morning, and I'm like, man, like we had good speed and car drove decent and whatnot. It's just like you give up a 10th here in traffic, a 10th here in traffic, and that adds up really quickly in a Cup car.
That's right. And you talk about that mountain to climb. Certainly it's a high one, but it's all about the people around you, right? You walk in holding a bottle of water with some AG1 in it, and that was a telltale sign that you've been talking to Josh Wise this morning. He is like the driver sensei over there. In addition to all the key partner information you have over at RCR, you have the people and tools around you to then take that weekend, build off of it. Do you think any of that knowledge that you learned yesterday translates for the rest of the year in the Xfinity car? And how many more Cup races do you have on the schedule?
Yeah, it depends on I guess how good they thought I did if I can get in some more. Hopefully. That's hopefully going to be the plan. But kind of when I drove a truck race, I ran 3 truck races when I was 18 2 years ago in 23, and my goal there was like kind of bridge the gap, right? I ran ARCA and obviously won those races just kind of off speed, and some experience, and just could go really fast and could win races. And in the truck race, I would leave Gateway, then I left Kansas, and I had all these notes on, where I needed to bridge the gap. And you guys keep it cold in here. And but anyway, I left those truck races trying to bridge the gap and went to Phoenix and had a good finish, right? So I think with a Cup car, it's the same thing. And I'm still trying to figure out kind of where, I guess, because I feel like I could have ran better than where I finished. So trying to figure out where to bridge those gaps on how to be better and how to manage the day better and how to finish better is what I was focused on. But it's a lot of information like throughout the whole weekend. I almost felt like after the race, like I didn't take any notes after the race that night. I just like kind of let it all, soak in and let myself process it all. And, this morning I was able to like kind of sit down and be like, okay, it was here, it was, this, stage of runs. I kind of abused my tire here and gave up too much time in traffic here. Right. So, I think it's all about just kind of bridging gaps where I can, because I feel like I have the speed and I have the ability to like put it on the tire. I think that's like every driver's like insecurity is like having speed and being able to put it on the limit. But I feel like I checked that box, right? So yeah, it's going to take me more and more laps to figure out, how to get to that level of where I want to be, like where Larson is and Blaney and guys like that. But you talked about the Xfinity car. I mean, dude, like, those guys race so hard in Cup that I guess I think how hard I thought I was racing in Xfinity, like I guess that threshold just gets raised a lot, right? So I think you hold yourself, and a lot of this is subconscious, but I think I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard, the next Xfinity race I go to at Rockingham, and be more aggressive on restarts, because now I know like how those guys operate. Even in like driver intros, like Xfinity, everybody's pretty happy-go-lucky, hanging around, blah, 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 blah. Like, that stuff does not fly in the Cup deal. Like, I kind of expected everybody to be, kind of chatty and talking. Like, no, it's not like that.
No, bro.
And, and I guess I got to see how they operate. So, it was everything I honestly hoped and thought it would be. And it was, one of the coolest days of my life.
So, now we're here. Bristol, first ever Cup race. We were pitted next to the three guys yesterday. They pit your Xfinity car, and they just talked about how great you are to work with and everything. But I think Higgy's got some stuff pulled up here. First video is from qualifying. You talked about qualifying and out-punting your coverage in qualifying. How much different is it? We're going to see the 8 and the 22 wreck here, but how much different is it qualifying the Cup car compared to the Xfinity car?
So qualifying for me has always been easy because I kind of have my first prediction, which is where I'm going to lift and turn the corner. And then I basically figured it all out after that. I think that comes from my dirt background, where you'll be sitting there and you'll watch, based off your qualifying order in USAC, you'd watch, Rico go qualify, and then, a couple good guys qualify, and kind of see what they're doing, kind of where they pitch the car in the corner. And then you basically go do that. And then everything else after that's a reaction, right? So for the Cup car, I had my lift point and had my turn-in point. And that changed because I couldn't believe how tight the car was on entry when you're qualifying on higher pressure. But, man, I just feel like you put it on the tire and try not to go over it. And then I try to get more my second lap and about spun out like the 8 did. So then I kind of figured I knew I got it all my first lap that I was probably going to get. But qualifying for me has always been a stronger suit. And thought that I made the most of it there.
Kyle had mentioned that you talked to him this week, and he was pretty he was pretty high on just the fact that you called and asked questions. Right? I think Kyle's a little jaded with the younger generation right now. But how has Kyle been to lean on as a teammate?
Man, I didn't know what to expect at first when I guess 2 years ago or a year ago now, when I was going to pick up the phone and call Kyle about how to get around Charlotte before my test. And because all I knew was Kyle, how
the YouTube videos,
the TikTok videos and the compilation videos, and I was like, what is this going to be like? And he's a phenomenal teammate, and he's a good person, and we think about the car pretty similar too. So like our lingo is pretty similar, but man, he helped me out a ton, and I basically called everybody that I knew that I had their phone number, right? Whether it be me and William Byron are good friends. Everybody that I called, though, I think appreciated that I actually picked up the phone and called and gave me a lot of good info. Whether it was how do you pit this car? Do you go to neutral? Do you leave it in first? What do you do? And the front row guys helped me out a bunch with that. I'm good friends with Noah, Todd, and Zane. So I just called everybody that I could to answer all the questions that I had.
The next thing Higgy's got up for video here is SVG, and we've seen. Oh, I didn't realize he got into the 51.
I didn't realize this either.
Oof.
SVG, friend of the show, friend of ours, having a tough go of it here. What we got? I didn't see that.
Tough. A bit far away.
It was really easy, especially on old tires. Let's listen. Oh, tight on his door on entry.
Isn't that weird? I'm used to being free.
Yeah.
Somebody at your door.
Yeah. Well, and then once you probably felt it a couple times yesterday. If you got into one and you were a little too high and your left rear missed the grip,
I'd lock up left front.
yeah, or be up in no man's land in the middle. Tough day for the 88. Tough spot there. Let's see here, right in front of Denny. Oh, dang.
Hello. There you go. Was that you?
That was a pucker. No, you? Yeah.
You guys raced around each other a lot yesterday.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, kind of come and go, depending on the tires.
I honestly, the last 250 laps, I don't know who I was around or anything. It seemed like there was different cars around me every lap.
Is that?
I was behind Ryan Newman in the 4 for 150 laps.
Ryan Newman in the 4.
Pass Noah.
Yeah, I was
Noah Newman.
Dude, I was getting so frustrated. I mean, I saw the silver lining. I was like, I'm learning a lot right now. Like, this is how it's going to be to pass in the Cup Series. And, like, I'm quicker than Noah.
So what was he doing? Like, explain to the viewers that they think that we're all riding around wide open.
Man,
you know,
Cup guys, you think when you're racing them that even the Xfinity car, like, they have eyes in the back of their head, right? They're so good at just, like, already being on the tire and already placing their car in the right spots that it doesn't take much for them to, like, look in their mirror and kind of know where you're going to go and then position themselves to screw you a little bit on the aero side. And even at Bristol, I know we run the big diffuser there, which I don't really know why we would do that. But,
me neither.
But yeah, anyway, I would get super tight behind him, and I couldn't wrap the bottom really, and I kind of made a home on the top all weekend, even the Xfinity car. And I would try to jump to his outside in the right rear, and then, like, he was running hard, and he was keeping me behind him. And, even if I gave him a bumper, like, probably 4 or 5 times, like, it's kind of hard to get somebody free in these cars. You got to hit them pretty hard. And then
it's like egregious when you hit them hard enough to move them out of the way.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be a storyline either, Yeah. And I was trying to get to McDowell in front of me, and then I think Custer in front of him, and I think I could have got to him, but it was just super hard for me to complete a pass in the bottom. And Noah was doing a lot of things right, and lap traffic for me, the Cup guys maximize lap traffic super well. I think that's one thing that's going to help me going back to the Xfinity car is, like, discharging of people quicker. They're really good at that.
Man, there is nothing more fun than ripping the top at Bristol.
Dude, it's wild.
Like, just tell the fans a little bit about the focus and how much, like, it is 10/10. It is 100% effort, qualifying effort when you're running the top too, and you're on, like, the verge. You don't know where the marbles are at on entry. So explain what's your intent when you're trying to generate that momentum running the top.
It's different than the bottom because the bottom, your mindset's very like, you're really focused on accuracy, right? Being accurate to the line, backing corners up, right? Making sure you at least hit it. And the top is just, more kind of balls to the wall, right? Tongue hung out, and you're right on the verge of just hitting the fence every lap. So, running the top at Bristol is far more fun than running the bottom. And I've been a bottom guy this year leading up to this, so it was cool for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone in a sense. And because I'm used to running the top in a dirt car and, like, having something to bang off of. You can't really do that in a pavement car. So, it's fun. It's so tough, and those guys are all so good. And then on the top, like, the lines move around where rubber builds up and whatnot. So then you'll catch a guy, and then he'll be in that line, and you're like, damn it. Like, if I move up a little bit, try to get clean air, and then I'm in the rubber. If I move down a little bit, then I'm choked off on exit. It's super, super tough. And that's why it's really important, I think, to have a car that can kind of maneuver and run both lanes and be, like, just borderline too free to run the top, which is scary in and of itself, to be able to wrap the bottom,
Absolutely. How's the Xfinity program shaping up? Haven't really talked about much about it this year, but how's it looking?
It's good. We're third in points right now, couple points behind the 41, and then we're about 1,000 points behind the 7 car. He's had a couple really good weeks.
Good thing for you. They reset it here.
Yeah,
a couple months.
But man, I think my goal going into it was playoff goal was to be the regular season champion, which I still think is attainable. It depends on if Justin has some bad races, which can happen. But I feel like Justin is starting to, like, learn how to, like, be on that edge. He's one of the older guys, and he's still learning. That's why he's so good. He's kind of learned to, like, be on that edge and not make the mistakes he made last year. But man, I think that we have good speed. We're a tick behind the Hendrick JRM Alliance deal. This weekend I was running 6th for a big part of the race, and it was the 17 and then all 4 of the Hendrick cars or the JRM cars. So we're going to try to go find that, dig deep these next few weeks, and try to close that gap a little bit, because I feel like I'm really like on top of my game in the Xfinity car. Darlington was kind of an upsetting day for us, but other than that, before Martinsville, we had like a 7th place average finish, like been up front every week and had chances to win. One Daytona to kick off the year was a big deal, but still just need to get a little bit more speed. And I think once we find that, then we'll be able to start showing the 7 kind of what we can do with him.
Yeah. How much is Richard? I'm always curious. How much is Richard involved in the Xfinity side? Is he in the comp meetings? Is he like pressing you guys and keeping the accountability there?
Richard leads by example. I like to think I get to the shop pretty early, and I'll get there around 7, and I don't beat his Tahoe in. He's there Monday morning before everybody else, and he works really hard. And Richard is tough on us, but he's fair and he's really involved. If we have a problem with communication, right, he's listening to the radio, so he'll talk to us on Monday about it. And he wants us to be excellent because we can be excellent on the Xfinity side right now. So he's pushing us really hard right now. And there's a little bit of pressure with that, but I think that we all want to win for him anyway, so that pressure is going to be there regardless. But, he's a fierce leader, and he pushes us really hard. But he's not just, like, sitting at home on the couch all day, right? He's at the shop all day. He's there early. He's working hard. So when he tries to push us, we don't take it for granted, right? We listen. And, he's a good leader for us right now. So, yeah, having Richard's been great. He'll talk to me if he sees me doing something wrong. He'll be in our meetings, and he'll be in our ear pretty much the whole week.
Yeah. Man, I feel like you and guys such as Connor and Brent Cruz are like the next wave of guys coming in. Mm-hmm. Like these are the guys that have key partner info. They have access to the sim. They have the diet. They have all the information. Like this is the next Jackson Storms of the Cup Series coming in.
Who's Jackson Storm?
Hang on a second.
From Cars.
Fill me in.
You're like he's in like the gap where he's probably a little bit too old.
He's got to be messing with me.
Car, like the
Cars,
Lightning McQueen, right?
Yeah.
So like his arch
he doesn't
enemy,
have kids, bro.
Clearly,
we have kids.
I guess if you think
and he's
about
like
what's your you were born in what? 04, 5. Yeah, I don't think Car Series made that.
Sakes, I graduated high school in 05.
That even makes my point even more true. So Jackson Storm, Jesse, is this guy who is new to the cars.
The Winston
Cup. Yeah. He is has the new car, has a diffuser, has all the technology, has a simulator, has iRacing, has a YouTube channel. All these things. Yeah. Doesn't have kids. And I'm also, the ones that you see.
Not dealing with that pesky Porsche girlfriend.
Yes,
just kidding.
That's a Cars reference. You wouldn't get it. Is there who do you look at or who catches your eyes? Like who's not necessarily the next wave, but who are some kids 16 under that you look at like that kid's got what it takes?
I mean, obviously Brent, right, is like ridiculously talented. He's as talented as Connor, right? And Brent's gonna learn like what he needs to be doing. I don't know if he's found that out yet, but once he's in a weird spot because he's 16. So he has 2 years to kind of develop and figure out, or he's 17 now, has a year or two to kind of figure out, as he starts to push himself into the Xfinity stuff and the truck stuff this year, what he needs to do to bridge those gaps. But he has all the talent to do it. But I'll say the kids come out of the woodworks. I remember I ran a legend car race when I was 16 against William Sawalich, and I didn't know who he was, right? But he was good. He had some good speed, and we ran side by side that day for a little bit at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I didn't think anything of it. And then 2 years later, he's making me work for it really hard in ARCA, and now he's running against me in Xfinity, right? Yeah. So you don't know when those kids are going to come up. Maybe this Max Reeves kid is going to be good. Who knows, right?
Cookout fella.
Yeah, he has the resources to be in the right situations and whatnot, and obviously has the speed, right? So
yeah.
Who knows? I mean, it's going to be – they come out of the woodworks. I never expected William Sawalich to be racing against me in ARCA and be better than me at times and beat me at times, and there he was in 2023.
Well, he's around some – I think as much of it is getting in the right situation.
Yeah.
Right, around the right people to develop and grow those skills. So I'm glad you have all those pieces of the puzzle around you, buddy. You've been doing excellent. and I think you did a great job yesterday. But before you
Thank
leave,
you.
I got 3 questions for you.
All right.
If you had to pick, you mentioned your path had all sorts of different race cars to get you to where you currently are. So I'm curious on your answer to this one. If you had one race car to race at and one racetrack the rest of your life, what do you do?
And like, there's no money involved or nothing,
I didn't
or
think
is the
that much
prestige
about it.
still
I
there?
just got
Like, is the prestige
ran a
there?
cup car for the first time. It pays pretty good. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about doing that.
Sure, we'll add those in.
Okay.
We'll add the
I'd
context.
say without the prestige and just for the fun of it would be a 410 sprint car.
Okay.
I don't know about track. I mean, I-55 is Peevely is pretty sweet, but kind of anywhere in a 410 is really fun. I'd say like with prestige involved and like I guess racing against my heroes and things like that. I mean, obviously the Cup Series is where you want to be, and like when you first said like you turned down that truck opportunity at first, and you're like I want to be racing the biggest stage. I'm not going to say I agreed with it at first. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I agreed with how I said it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I wanted to say, and I was on a 4-day fast, and I didn't say what I wanted to say very well because I was pissed off.
And I mean, I was almost like, man, like
I know I said some things that I probably
maybe
yeah.
and but I'll say like, and even still, maybe I don't 100% agree with it, but it opened my eyes like walking out for driver intros and seeing all those people there and like rolling out during the drivers meeting and then rolling out for the green flag. Like I definitely see like where you were coming from in that instance. There's nothing like running a cup race.
Let me go on top of that because I was coming from this, and I've been doing this a decade. Every off season, it was, why don't you go instead of a mediocre cup car into a good Xfinity car, right? That was always the argument.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't make money doing this because I couldn't convince sponsors to go spend this.
Yeah.
So after a decade of getting asked the same questions and then getting it again, I just kind of popped off a little bit. But
So instead of just saying that, he said, "I'm not racing in front of 12
people in the
fans
grandstands."
And
They're-
then I got tweeted at. That's how many people were. I'm like, I just sit next to him.
People were pissed, and rightfully so. I elaborated and added some things that I probably shouldn't have. But on Friday night in the truck race, there was like 12 people in the grandstands. But nonetheless, that's another conversation another day. Question number 2. Let's just change gears. So you said
he
cup
just
car.
doubled down.
What?
Damn it, he doubled down.
I did double down because he's agreeing with me and disagreeing with me
good.
because I disagree with some of the things that I elaborated with that Bob Podcast video. Anyways, what's the most embarrassed you've been at the racetrack?
Tell you what, man, running 31st, pretty high up there. But at the racetrack, I mean, probably. So I was running a midget for Keith Coons, and my first ever national midget race was a Power Eye race back when like Power Eye was like stupid hard, and I ran third to Logan Seavey, and I think Thorson ran second, and then I ran third, and that was like my first ever national midget race, and I was like, oh my god, I'm incredible, this is great. I'm gonna win all of them. And the next week, same racetrack, went out to Jacksonville, and was in Keith's car again, and we took the green flag, and I wound it up and went to turn 1 and flipped my face off. And I think I cleared the grandstand. I don't remember it. I remember like getting the green flag on the receiver, winding it up, and I went to 3 and like went 4 above the curb and just biked up and flipped out of the park. And then Thorson, he wasn't racing that night. He picked me up on the quad, and he's like riding back, and he's like hauling the mail, getting back to the pit, and he was like, "You are an absolute idiot, dude." And I was just like, I really just messed up. Like wrecked in hot laps, like lap 1, corner 1, was not in the right line, just trying to get it all and look cool and sell t-shirts, and flipped my face off. So that was probably the most embarrassing part, because I got back to the hauler, and Keith just didn't even talk to me. He was like, "What are you doing?" So
those are the types of answers we're looking for sure. Last question.
He's not going to know.
You ever heard of the movie Men in Black? Will Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched that movie.
You have
Oh,
watched.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Now we're making some gains here. So in as you know, they have a pen and it
Yep.
zaps your memory.
I wish I
right?
had that pen.
So if I have it in my pocket right now. If I take it off and I
Yeah.
zap it, and you had to pick one racing memory to keep for the rest of your life and lose all the other ones, what do you keep?
It's gonna be tough between 2. So I remember my first ever time at Daytona, I was in the grandstands, and I don't remember who won, but somebody won, and they like did their celebration in the infield, and they got out of the car, like they just like took like 2 seconds to just like probably just look at their car on the front stretch, smoke pouring out, and like all the people in the stands, right? And I remember thinking like I want to be in that spot one day, and I got to live that moment this year, and like got to take those couple seconds after the interview and everything to just kind of like look up in the stands and kind of remember, you know, me sitting up there, you know, 10 years ago, hoping that one day I could be in that spot, let alone racing for Richard Childress. And the second moment would, I got emotional during the national anthem, you know, getting to sit there with my dad. And, you know, that was probably the coolest moment of my life.
Yesterday,
yeah,
nice.
For the Cup race.
Cool.
And, yeah, I don't know if anything will ever top that.
That's cool, man. Those are two great ones. Glad you shared those with us, and I'm glad you shared your time here this morning for Stacking Pennies. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Love, you're going to be seeing this man way more often, whether it's on Saturday, following along his championship tenure there in the Xfinity Series, as well as in the Cup race soon enough. But also, you can follow along this. I saw a tweet this week. Shake and Bake Production Sports. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so me and Daniel Dye were golfing one day, and met this guy named, his name is Rip on the golf course. His name's David. And he's kind of turning like my financial advisor in a sense. That's his full-time job. But we play golf a little bit together, and we've all become really close friends. And we were kind of talking one day at dinner, like we want to, you know, get some more content out to the fans throughout the week and kind of build our brand up a little bit. That goes a long way. And Rip was like, well, but we told him like we don't have a lot of time to like just like do social media. It's kind of a pain sometimes. So he found something that, you know, we do about once a week or once every other week, which is, you know, play 18 holes of golf. And he was like, well, what if we start this, you know, golf brand, sports brand, and it's going to venture more into like pickleball and stuff like that as we get down the road. But it'd be Shake and Bake Golf or Shake and Bake Sports. So you kind of went with the sports part. Okay. And yeah, we film once a month at the 500 Club or whatever golf courses around here. 500 Clubs are home base though, and we know we're trying to kind of go after the same, you know, forte of like good golf or Bob Does Sports or something like that. And it's me, Connor Zilich, Daniel Dye, Rip, and then Will Rogers. He spots the 43 in the Cup car. Yep. And Colin Fern as well. So kind of got a good. Oh, and Alex Forey. He's a one-arm golfer. And he's a pro at the 500 Club, and he's really good. He actually won our first episode. So we've already shot two so far. It was
you got beat by a guy with one arm.
I did. I finished second.
He's the pro there.
Yeah, he's really good.
Really him before.
Yeah, one arm.
Really good.
Shoots just par, scratch.
I think he's probably like +2, so he's probably a couple under par. And yeah, talk about defeating.
What do you like? What do you shoot? What's your
I'm
handicap?
probably like a 8 to 10 handicap.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I only play a couple times a month, but we had a speed golf round, which was like one hole, and you pick a couple clubs, and it's a sprint. And then the second one was last to bogey challenge, and I won that one too. So
okay,
yeah, just trying to get content out to the fans, kind of show ourselves like off the racetrack and some stuff that we like to be doing, and hope they enjoy it. We're launching our first video today at 4:00.
Hey,
nice.
If you're listening to this, it was yesterday at 4:00. So tune in.
Yeah.
Where do they find it?
Yeah, just Shake and Bake Golf on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the above.
All the above. Ladies and gentlemen, follow along with this man's journey. Jesse Love joining us right here on Stacking Pennies. More coming up right after this. And we're in it. Joined by a frequent guest of the show, also a friend of Stacking Pennies here, Mr. Kyle Larson. Golf clap from my man. Big win yesterday, rebounding from a tough Darlington. I got to ask you this first, buddy. Do you read comments on Twitter at all?
I got rid of my Twitter back in like November of last year, so I don't see as many anymore. I kept my Facebook. I like Facebook. It's a little more positive, but I do see some negative. But yes, I was the world's worst race car driver last week.
It's absurd. Literally from the house to the penthouse over a week. Let's talk about that a little bit though first, because that was a talking point last week of like why you do it. Knock the nose off of it. early in the race, going for it. And then why do you go through the whole process of rebuilding this thing to go make laps for relatively no reward?
Well, for one, yes, I was embarrassed, really, and just mad at myself. You know, I love Darlington and really just enjoy racing there. And, you know, to wreck on lap 3 or whatever, I was just, you know, upset at myself that I wasn't gonna be able to have some fun that day. But, you know, embarrassed and all that. And then I wasn't sure of the rules, so I wasn't sure if I was allowed to get out of the car. So I just sat in there for the 2 hours or whatever it was, and man, that was a long race. It's amazing how much slower time goes by when you're not actually driving. But no, it was you know, a crappy deal and all that. But looking at the positives of it, you know, it was great. It was great for our team to go through that, you know, to go through the DVP process. We had a new pit crew, so to give them some reps once I got back out there. And yeah, and then again, you know, then I felt even more embarrassed at the end of the race when I, you know, caused the final caution as I'm 100 and something laps down. So just was honestly just trying to be so much out of the way that when I saw Reddick, you know, hit the wall, I checked up early, hoping that Bubba was kind of still on my outside, and obviously he wasn't. And you know, yeah, so that was crappy. I hated it for Ryan and you guys, but you know, I can't change it now other than just learn from it and try not to be in that situation again.
Well, does that add any motivation going into the following week?
No, I don't think it added any motivation, but it you know, definitely in a way like amps the nerves up, because you don't want to have back-to-back bad weekends. So not that you ever want to have one bad weekend, but you definitely don't want to have two, because then it can just compound from there. So I was thankful that we were going to a track that we're really good at and confident at and have, you know, ran up front a lot. So yeah, but again, it's Bristol and anything can happen there, and you can get caught up in any wrecks and whatnot. But yeah, I was you know, excited to get there.
I wanted to mention that before we get on from Darlington. I thought you just sat in the car because Cliff made you sit in there for like detention, because I've been part of that. And it wouldn't be an interview if we didn't throw a little bit of joking shade at Cliff. Kyle, you sitting there and you think about how you wrecked this car. But then going to Bristol, right? I thought it was interesting. So speaking of Cliff, I didn't know if you guys had a dialogue about temperature and what the tires are going to do, because that first run, everybody kind of was on the bottom and figuring out what the tires are going to do, and you took off. You maybe rode for a little bit, but like, when did you have a plan that tires weren't going to fall off, or did you just figure you were going to go and see what happened?
No, I mean, we were all kind of, like you said, reading the race and reading the track there in the beginning, and you know, we were running probably 60%, all of us, and you know, I was just trying to pay attention to what the track color looked like, and I saw it kind of starting to get a little bit, you know, some streak marks on exit, and you know, I was able to kind of shuffle Denny off the bottom, and was hoping that you know, he could just be stuck in the middle and wear his tires out, because I knew he'd be a tough competitor on the day. But then he made the middle work really well. The 7 came from the back or wherever he was and was ripping the middle. And then, you know, they were all kind of filing back down in front of us. So I was like, man, screw this. I need to try and get to the lead here. And, you know, I want to be like in control of the race if it's a race like we had, or even, you know, a tire wear race. But once I went to the lead, I could really see the track. And I was like, okay, it's darkening up pretty good here. I'm going to run hard. And I hope that the harder I run, the whole pace of the field picks up, and then the tires, you know, lay some rubber quicker. You know, hopefully I catch lappers quickly and they start getting desperate and moving around and getting the top worked in. So it kind of all worked out, you know, the way I had hoped, but I did not have any of that planned, you know, at the drop of the green. It kind of all happened probably lap 35 or so.
Because what practice said was nothing like how the race played out. I mean, it was like pull the fire alarm, save tires. There's not enough tire sets laying in your pit box to make it through the day with cording them in 40 laps like they said in practice. But it was wild to see a completely different racetrack. And then also kind of same race, similar result, 5-car out front, not only on Sunday but on Saturday too. And I listened to your interview in the media center talking about the differences between a truck and Xfinity car. I was curious to hear the differences of the Xfinity car to the Cup car.
Yeah, Xfinity is just a blast there. You know, like the track gets super black. The, you know, difference in cars and equipment and drivers. So there's, you know, lots of time dicing it up in traffic, but the car side of it is really fun. And then the Cup race, the Cup car is just, it's just really fast paced the whole time. Like there's not much fall off, which isn't, I mean, I don't honestly I don't love that, but I don't hate it either because it makes it just really intense from the driver's seat the whole time. You know, I just wish that the Cup tire could just lay more rubber into the surface. You know, like the Xfinity race, you know, it gets so greasy on the bottom. It gets really greasy up top. It becomes hard to kind of hit your marks. You can run different lanes because, you know, you're trying to avoid the rubber stacking and all that. Where the Cup race is just, I don't know, that tire, it laid enough into the surface to not like kill tires, but it doesn't lay enough to where it makes it hard for us to hit our marks and having to slow down in the center of the corner and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's fun to make laps in the Cup car, but the Xfinity car, as it is most weekends, is just a blast to drive, and the racing's just really fun.
What series is traffic the sketchiest when you get in the lap traffic? Because like there's a lot of young kids in truck and Xfinity, and then Cup, everybody's trying to stay on lead lap, so they're probably, you know, racing a little bit harder. So like I wondered, probably when you get to the back of the Xfinity field or the truck field, there's some darts without feathers. So like what one is harder to navigate?
I feel like I was in an ARCA race on a Friday night. Like some of them guys that you catch, it is insane. Like I was behind Crafton at one point, and we ran up on somebody that was like extremely slow, and he hung a left and was 2 truck lengths on like in the infield, you know, like through the black pavement, and like slid back onto the racetrack. It was crazy. So yeah, that's a bit sketchy. But yeah, the cup race is just tough to lap people because you know, the field is just that much tighter on speed, so it just takes longer. Like Xfinity, you know, you can just work different lanes and all that and get by people pretty easily. Like I feel like if there wasn't stages, I would be able to lap the whole field there because of how much easier it is to pass. Where yeah, on Cup, like, you know, I might catch 26th place or something, and it might take me 10 or 12 laps to get by them or more. So it gets definitely frustrating behind the wheel. But, you know, you just understand it's part of Bristol, and everybody's kind of fighting for their own race, and they have their own goals and objectives on the day too.
Well, we saw that with Eric Jones yesterday when you caught him, and he kind of, that's when the track trended and moved up, and you got, what you get in a 34 maybe, but it also rewards, like the Cup racing rewards lapping as many guys as you can and putting as many guys in between you and second place as you can for the pit cycle. And I think a lot of guys can go, well, maybe he's going too hard, or maybe, you know, like he needs to back it down, but Cup racing now does not reward that.
Yeah.
Dude, it was 250 qualifying laps to finish that race.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I got out thinking, one, as I'm watching you do donuts, I wondered if, because I'd never driven a sprint car, I wonder if there's any similarities between sprint car racing as a whole and why you're so damn good at Bristol. Because it seems like from the first time you've driven there, whether it was a K&N car or, you know, the H. Scott or the Turner Xfinity cars, you just took to it instantly. So
yeah. No, I definitely think having a background in sprint cars really helps for Bristol, and just the racecraft that it takes there. Sprint cars, obviously, you have to make such quick decisions. And that's the way Bristol is. It's, to me, it feels like a 500 lap, sprint car race where you catch traffic quicker than any other track we go to. And you're immediately, dicing it up and trying to pick the right lanes and slide people if you have to, and just moving around constantly. So, yes, I think my background definitely gives me some comfort there, and probably slows the processing, down in my head enough to where I can, make those decisions and typically make, the right ones. And then two, I think just spending time out front and learning how to manage the race has really been beneficial for me.
Obviously a heavy week with the loss of John Edwards. I don't think people realize, I think they see you and maybe Cliff, but they don't realize how many people go into making stuff go, and how much time you spend around John and how much time your team guys spent around John. What did it mean to win for him, obviously, but also what were the emotions in victory lane with your guys?
Yeah, it was obviously a tough week for really the whole sport of NASCAR. But for us, particularly with Hendrick Motorsports, losing John was tough. It was sad, but at the same point, I haven't spent too much time being sad, because he's just that stubborn type of guy that wouldn't want anybody to be upset about anything of his, and definitely not sad of his passing. So I think that's kind of helped. Knowing that has kind of helped all of us, not necessarily move on quicker, but be more at peace with it all. But it was awesome, to have a great weekend this weekend in his honor. And yes, definitely in victory lane. Being around the marketing and social people that he was super close with was great to spend time with all of them. And afterwards we got the whole team together and took a big picture on the front stretch and stuck his sticker on the finish line, and all that was really cool. So we're gonna miss him for sure, but like I said, he would not want us to be sad one bit. So that's helped us.
He certainly was right along with you in the 5 group this weekend. That 17 car on Saturday as well. Off week coming up. We don't get very much of those. You certainly don't get very many of those. Got any big plans with the family Easter weekend?
Yeah. So I'm gonna race Friday and Saturday in Knoxville with the Outlaws, and then we're actually gonna go to WrestleMania in Vegas on Sunday. So I've never been to one of those. I've honestly never been into that kind of stuff, but Owen has been asking to go to them. So yeah, it works out. We'll go have some fun out there and check it out, and we'll probably get to meet Logan Paul for the first time, so that'll be cool. And yeah, just have a good time and get ready for the grind. That's the rest of the year.
Did you get to have multiple selections of what your Kyle Larson prime flavor was going to be?
I can't remember. I think I picked the flavor at some point last year, and then they made that bottle, and I would carry it around, but they weren't selling it. But yeah, now I think they're getting ready to sell them, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, they've been a fun sponsor, and like I said, look forward to meeting Logan for the first time here coming up this weekend.
So the grind to Indy's coming up. 2 quick things I want to touch on. Grind to Indy coming up. How's that going? Getting ready for the month of May?
Yeah, it's been pretty laid back, honestly. There hasn't been a whole lot. I got fitted they had a new steering wheel. So they fitted me for that, with a grip or whatever, a couple weeks ago. And then last week, I went to the shop in Indy to sit in the car, make sure that was all good, which it was, and got the open test coming up next Wednesday and Thursday. And then, yeah, that's it until the month of May. So not a whole lot of prep, really. I think that'll I'll cram that in probably, the morning of the test and just get going. So they have the new hybrid system, but that doesn't sound too complicated. So we'll see. But definitely getting excited about it. can't believe it's here already. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but yeah, we're excited.
Last thing, Tony Stewart wins NHRA yesterday. Top fuel dragster. You've followed in his footsteps. You've been vocal about him being your hero. When do we see in a top fuel dragster try to win that thing too?
I don't know.
It's not off the table.
It's not on the table currently, but I don't know. No, I don't think so. But I'm only 32. I feel like that's what people do when they turn 50 is like, oh, let's go 300 and something miles an hour now. Like, that's a great time in my life to do that. So I don't know. Maybe once I turn 50 and get old like him, I'll change my mind. But no, I did. I woke up this morning and saw the news that he won, and that was really cool. I mean, he's just another awesome thing to add to his resume and just solidify him even more as the greatest all-around race car driver ever. So pretty cool and awesome to have been able to race with him in a few of those different types of cars that he's won in.
Pretty incredible, all the stuff he's won.
Did you text him?
I did. I texted him this. He hasn't wrote me back, I don't think, but I was like,
He's still
I said, hey,
sleeping.
congrats on the day, legend. So
And there you have it.
yeah, he's just he's a legend.
Well, you're a legend too, buddy. You are to us and to a lot of
Thanks.
race fans. Congrats again, Kyle Larson. Thanks for jumping on the show. Have a great week and enjoy WrestleMania.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys. See ya.
See you, buddy. Well, buddy, we've had a guest-packed show so far today.
It's been jam-packed.
How was your day?
My day was good. Started off a little bit slow. It's like there's a lot of heat in the kitchen on the 12 car right now, just from the last couple weeks, and really Penske in general. So we started off with a 10.5, which wasn't great. I think we lost 2 spots. I had a little bit so at practice, I've been practicing pulling in one spot, and when I went to go pull in that spot, I just got all brake caliper, so I had to adjust my hand. And then we had an issue on the left rear, I think, as well. So when you caddy corner, that's when you lose most time. Then we finished really well. Put ourselves in position to win, did our fastest stop of the year. So it was a good day. Finished 5th, solid. And there were some guys there that were pitted around us that had a rough day. The 77 and the 42 included. I think we have a video of the 42 here. I didn't see this live. I saw it later.
Whoa. I saw the overhead 99 pit cam of this.
So I see their guys. Is it the left? It must be the left front. So there goes the nut into our pit stall.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, no. So,
dude, it's got a homing beacon on.
Seth. Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
There you are.
There I am. Yeah, Jude. Oh, dude, that would have broke a leg.
Made it broken
for
a hip.
sure.
Right? So we got lucky there.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a little bit unique to Bristol because the ride heights on the cars are so high.
Dude, he was one step away from getting cleaned out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That would have been ankle, hip, leg. That's a lot of weight. It's
Injured
50 pounds.
reserve list for the rest of the year.
Who
is the rear changer on the 99?
Seth.
Good. Oh, yeah. That's all Seth. He changes on
You
last
just
car
keep
back
making
then.
me want to say his name. That's
Gudrun. Gudrun?
Gudrias.
Let me see the list.
No. I got it on the page I need. You can't see it. This is unique to Bristol because the ride heights are so high that when the left front comes out, there's no it's like already below, it's already outside of the fender. Most places the ride heights are so low that when it falls off, it gets stuck in the fender and you just back up, or it smokes and it breaks and the wheel breaks in half. Not at Bristol. That's where they just evacuate. This, like I said, it's unique to here. It's a very tough pit road. On the same pit stop, the 99 got a pit equipment interference. You kind of drove through their box, but you have to get to yours, right? So they were a little late getting there. And then he stopped really long. But what Josh, Bush, see, he stops long. This is a mess. But what Josh, didn't do is he didn't baby that thing back to the wall, because even it doesn't matter where the 90. Wow, there's a lot going on. Oh, look at the 51 guys. They're lucky. 17 guys are lucky this tire doesn't hit them. Whoa. Everybody got lucky there. This is why, we call it luck. I'm going back to the 42's tire. We call it luck, but there's safety measures for a reason, right? There's pit road speed, there's helmets, there's stuff we do for a reason. We take it for granted because, especially picker guys, we're just focused on our job and performing. You forget how dangerous it is that we're jumping out in front of cars and literally playing in traffic and bolting wheels and tires on these cars in 8 seconds or 9. But what Josh needs to do when he pulls that tire, it doesn't matter where Daniel stops on that line. It's his job to have his right front not interfere with your picker guys. So, like in that instance, it's tough. But like now he's got to go into the tail end of the longest line. He's a penalty car instead of just coming out, taking the 2 seconds if he would have just set the tire next to him or something, or taking the time to roll it back to the wall and not into your guys. So that'll be something they probably look at in film. And I didn't realize that you could put a tire on another pit. I thought you could only put a nut because like the tires are allotted to the car.
Right.
So I wonder if they put like a setup tire on 42 came back. Or I don't know what you do in that situation because that's messy. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what Iggy's got something to say.
He did come back in and put on another tire.
He had to come back in. So you put the 43's tire on, get it back around.
Yeah,
Which
then
at that
Eric
point,
Jones is like, hey, man, I got a 1-lap scuff on the left front now.
Yeah, what the hell? Well, we ended up not using him. The 77 had a great day. Carson Hocevar dressed like he looked like Woody from Toy Story. His whole team has just cowboy uniforms
Just
on.
ride the Dente.
They've been great. They've been a great team.
Needed to have this run.
They come in, green flag stop, running top 5. And they're going to come around on the left side, and he's going to short set this jack on the end of the peg. And when he pumps it, goes to hang the tire and spits the jack out. Now he goes for his backup jack right away, which I don't think he needed to do, but I'm not sure how their jacks work. It's still got he keeps his wrench in the back of the jack. And it ended up putting him a lap down. So yeah, 22 seconds. So that is very detrimental.
That's a lap. I mean, the difference between an 8.5 and a 22 second, it's a 15-second difference.
Yep,
right.
And that's the lap. So they came out really right exactly where they were running, just 1 lap down.
1 lap behind.
Which is tough. The green flag stop too. For me, as long as I've been doing this, that you take a little bit off the fire for green flag stops because you're just keeping them in the race. When you sign up for this job, man, it's a really challenging job, and you got to be great all the time. Unfortunately for 77, they have been great, but in that moment, it bit them.
About a half-inch difference on the old jack peg.
Yeah, that's what you're.
That's the margins.
It's not even half inches. It's quarter inches and eighth inches, and especially Martinsville, right? Like a quarter inch on the steering wheel gets the left front out or doesn't. Like there's just the devil's in the details of the stop. And one team this weekend that has been struggling on track, but they've been great in the pit stall all year, and everything came together this week. Our dogs of the week, the 54 team.
Hey, welcome back.
Shout out to Ty Gibbs. He had a great run, and his pit crew has been awesome. The whole Gibbs camp has been great, and their pit crew's led by Braxton Brandon, veteran of the sport. He was on the 22 for a long time. He retired, and then Gibbs needed a jackman. They called him up. Coach Gibbs, I think himself, called him and was like, Braxton, we need you. And he's been over there. He's gone to that behind the back jack deal like Joel has, and they had the second fastest stop of the race and the fastest average. So, yeah, Braxton Brandon, Kayvon Jackson, rear changer, front changer, Jackson Gibbs.
Hey, cousin.
Yeah, cousin to Ty. So that's really cool. Could make if you have a bad stop, though, that could make
that could. You can only make
it a little awkward.
It is tough.
But you can't really fire him.
Nope, can't really fire him. You can move him to another car.
Will Cooper is tire carrier, and the fueler is Ian Anderson. He's a damn stud. So shout out to all those guys. Dogs of the week. They've been working hard, and good to see that 54 team back running up front. They kind of broke the curse that they were in, and excited to see good things out of Ty Gibbs moving forward.
Yeah, a little bit of an uptick in confidence. What else we got here? How was my day? Asked Higgy. We've been talking for a long time this episode. I'm sure that I covered it with an extent. My woe on pit road pretty much, I'm not going to say cost us a day, but certainly cost us several spots. there was an instance we actually had fired off okay when it was one lane.
You're like a typical driver though.
What?
Because you were like, when we talked on the phone earlier, you're like, yeah, I got out of the car. I felt like we did good. And like, I got out, like, where did we finish? And they're like 34th. Like, man, I passed a lot of cars. And then you were like, oh yeah, I sped on pit road. Like, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was like, you're such a driver. Like, oh, well, damn it, I forgot. I was like, damn it, you under green, and you're like, yeah. I was like, oh man, Bristol.
Can't do that.
It's got to be hard though. Like, I'm not making excuses.
I was thinking about it on the way back. It's like I sped after the box, and I was thinking about it. Like, when you get in this cadence, you have the certain things you look for, right? You have, and one thing that I generally have had my entire career, the last couple of years, once you start really like maximizing every aspect, is your first gear RPM per pit road. And I'd put a little decal mark, like a little tiny strip on first gear RPM. That would be, that way you know when you leave the box, you drag it up to that mark and then you pull and you know you're on your lights. We didn't have that.
Well, it's one of those things that you don't think of unless you're doing it every week.
Right.
Right. And that's not then when you're not doing it every week, when you don't think of it, or when the only time you think of it is you go, oh, fudge.
Well, what happens is right, is you leave the box trying to get up to your lights as quick as possible, not to give up any rolling speed, and you drag it up to 5,500, 6,000 RPM. You pull it, and now all of a sudden all your bars red, and you're like, oh, and then you give it back. What you hope that you went over, and it wasn't enough, or you got it all in one segment, and then you gave it all up in the next segment, whatever timelines are laid out. So unfortunately, that cost us probably I don't know, we were on 24th to 26th.
I think 10 spots it cost you.
Yeah.
Copy.
Yeah, because we were running in front of Joey.
Joey had a dismal day.
We were running in front of all the RFK cars at one point. We were okay. It was fun to get out there and dice it up. Whatever RFK has going on with rack combination, you saw it in-car camera with Ryan Priest in practice, and the freaking wheels bouncing all over the place. And I was like, that's what mine feels like. I don't know what we got going on here, but that doesn't feel right.
He runs spoke up.
He does a lot of weird shit.
He's quirky modified guy.
They showed in-car camera.
He's always done that.
Wrestling that thing.
You're going to have to see that one on YouTube. He went through a whole motion there.
Well, clip that and put his in-car camera on there, and you're going to see, like, wow, it was exactly the same thing.
I'm still stuck on the spoke up. There's not many old school racers that run spoke up anymore.
That's definitely a modified thing, because when you get in a wreck in a modified and your wheel gets ripped off, you had this happen, you broke a wrist. Mm-hmm. When it grabs the rack and the spoke gets in between your pointer finger and your thumb, it will break your thumb bone, which just connected to your wrist bone. And then so he goes full old school modified. Jerry Cook spoke up, letting it eat.
Absolutely.
So I hate there's nothing more frustrating though when you end. I mean, we didn't have a great day going. We had a rain 24th. Nobody popped champagne bottles over that, but we showed promise. Car had good speed. We passed some cars on restarts, and then you just give it all back on a pit road thing. It makes you want to smash your head up against the windshield.
We've had some people smashing the comment section on Penny for your thoughts. So let's look at this. 1870 Off-Road says, can we put asphalt back on the apron at Bristol, 90s style?
Back on the apron?
I think he's talking about
like the actual surface.
The apron is asphalt.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about maybe like the bottom, but we saw it ring around the bottom yesterday.
I think
it was 81% on Gluck's thing. Bad race, right? So,
well, I would say that 75% of the people that voted no will never vote yes in any circumstance.
No, I mean there's been higher than 81's pretty low.
The problem is that fans romanticize I saw it on X, nostalgia bait, and they'll go pull
nostalgia bait.
Yeah, the nostalgia bait, and they will go. And they will pull the highlight clips over the last 20 years. And let's be honest, there's several. There's not hundreds of great moments from Bristol. Instead of, in your own opinion, watching this race, if you're not at the racetrack and you're not following along to a car and the race within a race and guys trying to stay in the lead lap and all the strategy goes involved, it was probably a snoozer. Also, I probably would be like, if I was in the NASCAR booth, I would probably have found some debris at some point in time and just re-racked it to create some drama. But that's
Maybe
another
when the 12
conversation.
car was on their own lap, that would have been a good time.
Well, that's exactly when they won't find something because they want the whole tire cycle to play out. But at least throw one with like 50 to go. Everybody's got, like, let's see some wrecks. But anyways, you know, we have there's a lot of different theories on this of like, it is. People want to say just race the Xfinity car. There was 13 cars on a lead lap in the Xfinity race too. So let's just see it objectively. What do we consider a good race? Bristol's not going to be necessarily the great. You're not going to get the Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt finishes every time you go. That's why you have to appreciate the ones when they're there.
You're not going to get overtime anytime you go to a
That's
sports
right.
track. You're not going to get a great game or a great race every time you go. Bristol, it's Bristol, baby, right? There's a lot of
There's a lot of the build up
exactly.
rarely ever matches what the actual product is, and Bristol is built up the most.
Yes, I agree.
And when you go there and you get a 250 lap green flag run with Kyle Larson blistering the field, it's more of a letdown because you didn't see a last lap crash for the win or a green white checkered. Let's appreciate the 5 dominance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to see a green white checker and somebody get crashed on the last lap. I'd love to see that.
Absolutely.
But it's also pretty impressive for the 5 car to come back after a dismal weekend at Darlington and dominate like they did this weekend. So people who knee-jerk reaction when they want to reconfigure Atlanta, now all of a sudden they love Atlanta, right? There are instances and there's events on the course of the season and the schedule where the entertainment value knob is turned up.
Yep.
And then there's racetracks such as Bristol where the competition knob is turned up. And let me tell you guys, when you crank the competition knob up, the best team and the best driver will throttle everybody else.
Amen.
And that's what we saw this weekend.
Yep, I agree. Next one, Kyle Nogle, 15. Why can't there be a narrower wheel for short tracks and road courses? Just a quick answer here. I just don't think the teams want to buy more wheels.
Yep.
And Goodyear doesn't want to get new tires.
So I asked this question because I think the wheels are too wide for this car. I think there needs to be less tire surface on the racetrack. Because now that this car handles way better. Independent rear suspension, now the teams have gotten them optimized. These cars are like slot cars around Bristol. Like, it is qualifiers every single lap. And if your car has any sort of like bobble or any sort of just like things that you would ask your car to do that it doesn't do, the next 15, 18 guys in front of you are doing, like, they're doing that, right? Especially the 5 this weekend or the 11 or on down the field. And these cars now they have better geometry for rear traction. They have relatively no downforce, but they have a lot more tire on the racetrack. So I wish there would be less tire on the racetrack, i.e. narrower wheels. But I asked Goodyear, so why can't we make a narrower tire? With a bigger wheel, the 18-inch wheels going from 18 to 15, or vice versa, going from 15 to 18, now the air capacity within the tire is less. So they think that the delta between cold air pressure and hot air pressure is more with less air, right? There's more to expand. They explained this to me. I'm not a scientist. They said that when they originally tried a narrower wheel with a narrower sidewall, it couldn't work because there wasn't enough air, physical air in the tire. That was the answer that I was given.
Okay.
But I could go by the way of like late 90s F1 treaded tires, like the groove tires. I can make an argument for that, but they don't listen to me, nor does my influence carry any weight. That's just my opinion.
All right, that leads us to the question of the week. Is the short track racing product just the tire issue, or is there other things? Okay.
No, we have clearly seen that we have tried option tires. We've tried the softest tires that Goodyear can possibly make, and it's not that.
Copy.
It's the evolution of how close the teams have gotten. As guys get hired from this team, go to this team, and competition director go from this team to this team, and engineers cross-pollinate, and everybody knows, relatively speaking, what makes these things go, which will make the back of the field slowly catch, in terms of time delta, to the first place guy, catch the leader. Inherently, it's going to make every car pass a little bit less. Because the argument on X I see is just run the Xfinity cars. You put the Xfinity cars around Cup crew chiefs and Cup engineers and Cup drivers, it's not going to look like the Xfinity Series race with guys making mistakes and a bunch of yellows and spinning people out. The drivers are better. They don't wreck as much. The crew chiefs and engineers are they're going to make them drive better. The only thing, in my opinion, is a benefit of the Xfinity car relative to the Cup car is the ability to manipulate the car in front of you on his left rear quarter, and how much more power to weight ratio they have relative to the Cup car. Xfinity cars are much lighter. Cup cars are heavier. Same power, wider tire, so their weight to horsepower ratio is less in a Cup car.
Copy.
Same power.
Well, let's land this bird. Any penny stackers? I had a bunch of people at the fence when I was walking in.
I
didn't get to go over there and see them because we were kind of running late, but they were like, come here. I was like, dude, I got to get into the garage, so I felt like but it did wave. And a bunch of people at the fence at the end of the race yelling too. Do you have anybody?
A lot of Stacking Pennies merch out there this weekend, some 01 stuff, so appreciate everybody. I had a couple, I forgot to write them down, and I usually text them in the group chat, but we were too busy filming our episode 2 of Track Snacks.
Track Snacks doing good. Our YouTube channel is, Sean's doing a great job. It's been a lot of fun.
Stacking Pennies Performance on YouTube. Our first episode was Freedom 500, and we had Track Snacks, where we rate track food, buddy.
Yeah.
And we rated. I'll go ahead and let the spoiler out of the bag. We rated gate. So every year I go to Bristol, there's this same trailer rolling into the racetrack, and there's a big sign that says "Farm Raised Gator on a Stick." And I've always been interested in grabbing me a stick of gator meat.
Well, you did, so you can hear all about it on Stacking Pennies Performance YouTube. Go there, rate, review, share, all the fun stuff. A couple shout-outs. Other than our YouTube channel. AJ Allmendinger, man, he's been crushing it. That 16 team has been great. Another top 10 this week. And the Xfinity Fastest Lap Award. Ty Gibbs, we talked about. Tony Stewart, we talked about. Connor Hall wins the Cars Tours race at Cordele. Dale Jr. was in that.
Got a little banged up on a restart.
Paulie Hartwig, eighth grader, 14 years old, wins at Hickory Motor Speedway with the Smart Tour. And Peyton Sellers gets his 60th career win at South Boston Speedway. So a lot of good stuff happening in the short track world as well. I will be at Bowman Gray for the Hayes Jewelers 200 this weekend. I'll be running my own car with number 79 on the side of it, FX Caprera PSR modified. So if you're at Bowman Gray this weekend, come see me. And
I'll be there.
Easter.
I'll be there.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll be there. Because I'm sponsoring Mini Stock, too.
Are you?
Well, we are. SPP is.
Oh.
Andre Chavez, he works at RWR.
Hell yeah.
I don't have high hopes for the fellow, but I'm wishing him good luck.
All right.
But it's going to be a great opening weekend at Bowman Gray Stadium, Easter weekend. We'll take a ride up there into Winston-Salem. And we'll keep giving you spread change Thursdays, I believe. I don't know what we're doing this week, especially rolling into Easter. Maybe let's talk about Good Lord Jesus and Rockingham. That's probably a good mix of both. Follow us on Instagram @_Stacking Pennies. Go check out our YouTube page like we talked about, Stacking Pennies Performance. All the things every week. Corey LaJoy here alongside Ryan Flores. Keep stacking pennies each and every day. Y'all have a great week. Goodbye.